just done something that has marked the beginning of every single major bull market since the beginning of the history of baby bull kind, and you don't even want to know what it means now. There comes a time in every baby perma bear's life where he needs to get on his knees, bend over, and admit that the times have changed. And right now the price of Bitcoin is doing something exceptionally big, and we have multiple things that are absolutely excruciatingly big and exciting to be looking at with the Bitcoin charts. Most notably, clearly getting a bullish cross for the very first time in about 10 to 11 months. And this is extremely big for Bitcoin. Do I still think we're going to get a backtest of 30K at some point? Absolutely. I think that's very likely. But I think, as I've been saying, that backtest will result in support and absolute blast off guaranteed for Bitcoin. And I have a lot of reasons that I want to talk about that. And before we jump into the video, obviously, if you're interested in trading, there are massive sign up and deposit bonuses with FeeMix and BitGet below. Currently, I'm up about 23,000 USD in profit, and it takes about 30 seconds to sign up if you're interested below. Now, one of the major things I want to look at is the entire cryptocurrency market cap. So currently, we're at about 1.255 trillion US dollars for the entire cryptocurrency market, with Bitcoin taking up roughly about half of that. At the time of recording, Bitcoin's dominance is about 53.86%. So a little over half of that $1.255 trillion in value is Bitcoin. And so that's significant. However, again, if we go back in time, well, we won't do that. But I mean, if we go back in time, obviously Bitcoin's market cap used to be above like 97%. It was massive. Now, why this is significant though, the entire crypto market cap has just put in a higher high over the last couple of days above the highs set back in April of 2023 and the highest levels that we've been in the entire crypto market cap since back in May of 2022 when we initiated the biggest dump of the entire bear market. It was the first leg. There was basically two legs of the dumpiness. It was from about 2 trillion to 1 trillion and then 1 trillion down to 7.6 70% of a trillion, so about 760 billion, not even a trillion. So that's significant. 1 trillion has been a pretty big level of support over this year of 2023. When 2023 started, we were at about 750 billion, and this, I'll just mark where a trillion is. It's like right about here. This is roughly about a trillion. Let me try and make that a little straighter. Okay, whatever. So 1 trillion was a pretty big resistance to support flip. And you can see clearly right here, we've been holding at a support the entirety of 2023 since we got above it back in the first couple of weeks of 2023. Now, though, we've put in a higher high on the entire cryptocurrency market cap chart. The high, again, was back in April of 2023, and we've just barely put a new high in. But I believe this is the beginning of this true rally in the entire crypto market. So Bitcoin has had a micro bust above 30K, and we've seen alts actually over the past couple of days do pretty well also. Matic, Cardano, Solana, Link, XRP, all of these top coins are having multiple percent gains to the upside over the last couple of days. So it's pretty big. On the short-term chart for Bitcoin as well, we're in some sort of consolidation, whether it's some sort of like bull flag or even like a bull pennant here. It's very clear that so far price action has been constructive. 35 is that resistance now. But before we continue with more of these charts and other charts, I want to take a look at this. So Mags the Scalping Pro highlighting that the crypto bull run is here. The Ethereum to Bitcoin chart just hit the long-term trendline support that goes all the way back to 2017. Both Bitcoin and altcoins started pumping in 2017 when ETH hit this trendline support right here. And then in 2020, we saw the same thing happen. A retest where the entire crypto market bottomed out and both altcoins and Bitcoin entered bull mode, excluding March of 2020, which we all know why. And then in 2023, ETH just did this again. And the altcoins have started moving a little bit. But keep in mind, this is the very early beginning stages, the baby stages of altcoins pumping. As all of you know, I'm currently invested in Bitcoin, but also multiple altcoins, basically all of the top altcoins. I don't really dabble with much outside of the top 10 or even really the top 5. And I don't think I really ever talk about anything on the channel outside of like the top 10. So I'm not dabbling in like the micro caps, or at least talking about like telling you or something to get in them. Because again, I think it's smarter and safer and just better to be talking about like the projects in the very tippy top, like the top 5, top 10. And with that being said, I have a lot of money that I'm excited to be making when altcoins actually start running. And that's like most of you as well. I've asked this a million times. A lot of people, yes, they have Bitcoin, but a lot of people have a ton of altcoins, and that's when they get really excited. The reason Bitcoin pumping is so exciting for a lot of people is specifically because that just means that altcoins will start pumping eventually or soon. But if Bitcoin's just dumping and dumping and dumping, obviously altcoins are probably not going to pump that much. But we're seeing the first signs of that. So that's a very interesting piece of data to look at. Now, at this chart, clearly this is the 30K level. Below it is basically bear zone, bear mode. Above it is basically the bull mode, bull zone, bull mode, right? And this is our very first weekly close just recently that we've had. Actually, let's go to the weekly chart. We have our first weekly close above this 30K level of the entire bear market, which indicates to me bull mode. But I've also been saying this has been bullish constructive price action for months and months and months. It's just that now it's kind of being proven right because we are seeing this continuation of the momentum to the upside. Just like if you were in crypto, during this time, it was just lower low after lower low and just dumping and dumping and dumping all the way to the beginning of 2023. However, now it has been just pumping. Every big move has been to the upside only, right? I mean, there has been little dumps, just like there were little pumps in the bear market, but it has been mainly just pumping. Now, also, we do see that we've just gotten a golden cross. The 50-day moving average now crossing above the 200-day moving average. This is a bullish indicator. These are the only two moving averages you can see on this chart. Last time we saw this was Bitcoin was at 21K. And then the following months, it ran up to where we are now. I mean, 31, and then it took a while, and now up to about 35, and now 34,000. So bullish cross there. We're very close also on Bitcoin's weekly chart to getting the actual golden cross on the weekly chart, which is the 50-week moving average crossing above the 200-week moving average. When was the last time we saw this? Well, actually, I actually, if I remember correctly, we haven't seen it before because this was the very first bear market where the 50-week went below the 200-week right here back in February of 2023. But keep in mind, like myself and many people were saying, that was not a bearish thing. I remember people covering this and saying, oh, this is extremely bearish. No, it's such a gigantic lagging indicator that by the time it crosses, we've already seen massive amounts of dumping. And realistically, in my opinion, it kind of, what this weekly chart shows with the 50 and 200 week, more than anything, just illustrates how dumpy the market got. More than anything. I think that I don't think we ever should have really gone below this. If Bitcoin was truly as valued as it should have been, I think it's incredibly undervalued right now. So I think the bullish cross is just the very beginning of where we should be on these charts. Because again, like I've said, if you go back, we haven't gotten across that bearish. Again, which is another reason why I think people were so mega bearish. For example, like we've never gotten across that bearish before, and this happened, like 10 months ago. Everyone was really scared. Fast forward 10 months, and things look way more bullish. It was kind of a big fake out. So the stock market is just struggling to find any life today. You can see massive amount of volume where it's currently at. So holding above 4,000 is key. I think it probably will over the next few weeks, but it's way too early to tell. Momentum on the daily chart kind of swinging a little bit more to the upside, but a lot of long-term moving averages for the stock market, the SPX, S&P 500, that are just not looking great. And the stock market really needs some life if it wants to have, just not get destroyed on some of these like longer-term charts. High was put in back in July of 2023. But again, it's important to remember this is a Bitcoin channel, and Bitcoin has been ignoring this, which is good. That's another evidence of decoupling, right? So really, if Bitcoin does decouple, and if you're invested in Bitcoin, you don't really care about the stock market, it doesn't really matter what the stock market does. Ultimately, though, I think it's still too early to claim it's completely decoupled. I think, again, these are just it takes time. It's slow. There's going to be moments where Bitcoin's maybe decoupled for 2% of the time, and then it's decoupled for 5%, and then maybe 15%, and then maybe 30%, and then just eventually being completely decoupled. But it's a process. So the stock market, it's still really important to watch. I think DXY looks like it wants to continue down after running up for 3 straight months from July to October. Here we have a low, and the DXY, especially if monetary policy with the Fed heads the way I think it's going to head, then that should probably not be crazy pumping. But in terms of Bitcoin, there's a few other charts I want to look at too. I mean, clearly this chart really looks more and more significant and more verified or legitimate the longer time goes on. This 2-year falling wedge really has still continued breaking out. So very big. This pattern as well has been holding as support. As we talked about, this is a gigantic level of support. This has been on my screen for months now, and you can see it held like perfectly. This chart as well, we talked about when we got this MACD switch on the 30-day chart. It has been bullish momentum. It took a little time and there was some dumpiness. However, momentum is still swinging heavily to the upside. Remember, this chart takes into account bear and bull markets basically as a whole. Here's massive bull market, massive bear market, and we're gearing up for a massive bull market. And there's no other way to really look at that unless you're just like pulling facts out of your butt or pulling ideas out of your butt here. As well, I mean, all of these charts I think look really good. I still think, as I just said, we could easily get a retest of 30K, as is totally normal. But also this chart is very big, I think. So remember, the entirety of 2023, we were holding support up until August on this trend line. Now, that's exactly where we're at right now. Okay, we had 4 touches of support. Now it is resistance. Now, if we can break this, very, very big things to come. I just am not convinced we're going to be able to break it immediately on the first try. Okay, so this is what I think is really important to watch. You can see us straddling this level here. It's right at 35K right now. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Again, on the short-term time frames, we have some sort of maybe like bullish flag here. We have this bullish pennant consolidation. I think that a big bust to the upside is an absolutely more likely than not scenario. It's just a matter of if we'll have to hold 30K as support first before we get a major bust. But it's very clear the momentum around the crypto industry is slowly coming back, but that's exactly how it happens. It's very, very slow at first. Nobody believes it. And then in a week, in just 1 or 2 weeks, it can change from everyone hates it or just doesn't care about it, really, not hate it, but just nobody cares about it, to everybody on the planet just piling in. And my least favorite part, honestly, about the bull markets is when people just start shilling these garbage meme coins that are created out of thin air, and then 2 days later they're just plastered all over Twitter or YouTube and stuff. I hate it. I honestly, that is the closest thing that's ever made me become a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm not one. I think some top alts definitely have some value, which is why I hold a lot of them. But I think these meme coins are so, and I was saying this during the bull market, the last bull market in 2021 and 2022, I hate meme coins. I think they're bad for the space. They're full of people just trying to scam you and rug, right? Get you invested and then pull everything out of it. I think it's horrible for the space. But it's more important now than ever to understand there is a difference between Bitcoin and some of these top altcoins and all the other garbage, which that garbage is like 99% of the space, which is unfortunate. 99% of the space in terms of like listings, right? If there's 5,000 cryptos, 4,980 of them, right, are probably like scams, and then those 20 are actual projects. But in terms of actual market cap, they're less than, I want to say maybe 10, 15, 20% of the entire space. But during bull markets, unfortunately, they become like a pretty big percentage because so many people put money in them because they just want to get rich quick, right? They hear about crypto again and they think, okay, 2 weeks is enough to be invested in the space to get in and get out. No, I mean, unfortunately, that sometimes does work, but 99% of the time it does not. The best way to benefit from this market and actually basically do it correctly is by going through the pain of, accumulating at the bottom the actual valued cryptos like Bitcoin and in waiting. You have to be patient, basically. And take advantage of massive trading and deposit bonuses if you're interested in trading below. Currently, I'm about 23,000 USD on these 2 trades between Bitcoin and ETH. If you're interested in signing up, the links are in the description below. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up. Without further ado,